Hey everybody, Chris Collier, your social media icon here, coming to you live from Atlanta. Listen, what's the difference, the 5 main reasons or differences between branding and marketing? Let's check it out on the inside. Hey everybody, we're going to talk 5 things about branding and 5 things about marketing and kind of explain the differences, okay? Now we're going to quote, I got a quote here by Seth Godin. I hope I'm saying his name right. He says this: a brand is a set of expectations, memories, stories, etc., and relationships that put together accounts for the customer's decision to choose one product or service over another. Isn't that interesting? So that means, you know, when I think of branding, I always think about the apple with a bite in it from Apple, the Nike swoosh, the golden arches from McDonald's. Those are major brands, right? The Adidas 3 Stripes, the Reebok. Listen, this is the truth. Branding is what the business is, or the expectation of what the business should be, not what other people think it should be. Hear me. It is what people think it should be, actually. Let me correct myself. It's the expectation that someone thinks that that brand is something. When you think about like certain brands when it comes to food, you think they're real food, whole food, or organic food. But sometimes we're let down because that thought process isn't necessarily true. They built themselves up for you to think that, but that's not necessarily true. So the number one is a brand is a set of expectations, and the marketing go with that builds those expectations up to a point where they choose one brand over another. That's part one. I want to go back and make this a little bit simpler because I just had a thought in between takes here. A brand is who you are. A marketing is what you do. So often in our culture here, we ask people, so what do you do? And we think that's who they are. But that's not necessarily true. Who you are causes you to do what you do. Sometimes. But sometimes, just because you're a doctor doesn't mean you have integrity. Just because you're a garbage man doesn't mean you don't have integrity. There are a lot of garbage people out there that are have high integrity. There are a lot of doctors that might not have integrity. So going back to just using those as examples, high level, low level, what people might think of a low level, what people might think of a high level, there might be something that you do that isn't congruent with who you are, and what you do will later on ascend to who you are. Now I'm talking in character and principle and all that, but as a company or as you brand yourself, you got to make sure that you have the core principles in place so that when you start marketing to people, people go, oh yeah, there's that guy, there's that girl, yep, that matches, they're congruent. It's not one off or the other. So that's the two differences between branding and marketing. You can market yourself as a genius and be a pure idiot. You've seen that. You bought a course or you bought a product and it wasn't what you expected it to be. So they built up the marketing, not match the branding. The marketing is getting someone to believe so much in something that the branding doesn't matter. That's what they did when you were let down by that brand. So that's number 2, difference between marketing and branding. Another difference, part 3, or number 3, in this question is what's the difference between branding and marketing? Number 3, I want to talk about colors. Colors give you emotion immediately. So your identification colors might be, like mine are blue, silver, white, and black. Well, the blue builds trust, right? So as you're going through, the blue builds trust. What happens if you have something on sale? You want to use red. That's marketing. You're going to use the red, right? So like marketing principles are stuck inside the brand because we want to get some kind of emotion out of the potential customer or the customer. But branding has to do with the how you make someone feel before they even get to know the product. The set of standards that you set for yourself, and the higher you set your standards, the higher your customer standards are for you. And as you're going through time and everything, here's a thought that maybe your brand might have a color like mine's blue, and when you have something on sale, you use red to get a different emotion across to the customer. Because sometimes if you don't use the right colors, you can cause confusion. But in this case, you want people to say, hey, wait a minute, take a look, there's something on sale. Colors have a lot to play in your brand. Your brand's supposed to evoke emotion and promote emotion. That's why one of the reasons why I love blue, and I found out the reason why I love blue, it builds in trust. And I'm a trustworthy person, so I want to get that point across so people can feel and get the understanding that they can trust me. Now, if I was an illegitimate person or a con man, I could use that same color, try to con you into believing that I'm something I'm not. So we have to be careful how we use color, how we use different things to trigger emotion in people. I could choose red and get quick emotions with people, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm building my brand for the long haul. It's not a short play. If I get some sales now, great. But my goal is to have ongoing sales later. People will begin to trust and like me, and continue to trust and like me because I want to be the real deal. I don't want to be a phony. See, the reason why a problem separating marketing and branding is because sometimes the marketing over time will influence the branding. How do I mean that? For example, SEO, ads, no matter what they are, content marketing, all that stuff is marketing based, right? So if you keep doing something a certain way, people expect that as part of your brand because you make, for example, there's certain actors that make you feel a certain way. For example, Jim Caviezel, who played in The Passion, he plays certain characters that make you feel a certain kind of way. You know, people get typecast. Sometimes they're always the buddy in the movie or the good guy. So they get typecast because they create a certain emotion, certain feeling. I know I mentioned that in the previous step, emotion. But in this, is sometimes the marketing through time, because you market a certain way, creates an emotion that's separate from the brand. But then over time becomes part of the brand because that's the best way for you to market. I know this sounds confusing, but sometimes marketing, there is a small difference. And over time, that difference becomes part of the brand. Because your unique selling proposition is part of your brand. And so as you're marketing that out, people don't see the difference between branding and marketing. Consumers don't. Marketers do. Personal branders do. But sometimes the line gets blurred because when you start to market a certain way and you have a certain kind of tone in your voice, a certain kind of way you come across, certain kind of thing, you know that person. For example, let's use a good example. The way The Rock talks when he's pro wrestling is different than he talks from day to day. Not too much different, but a little bit different. So at the end of the day is, watch this. The brand The Rock is different than Dwayne Johnson the person. You may not know the difference and can see the difference, but Dwayne stands behind The Rock, I guarantee you that. And The Rock stands behind Dwayne Johnson. Two separate things. The Rock's a brand. Dwayne Johnson is a person. Hope that helps you a little bit on number 4. Our 5th and final installment. This has been fun for me, and I've had great fun with it. But when you talk about marketing, branding, let me help you. Marketing is the set of profit. I got this from Neil Patel. Great guy. Check his stuff out. Marketing is a set of processes and tools promoting your business. Like I've said, it's SEO, social media, PPC search, mobile, traditional methods, and tools. Branding, on the other hand, is your culture itself. See, I've said this the whole time. And the message that permeates and the rules all the processes, that rules all the processes in your business. So what am I saying? I'm saying that to have a difference between marketing and branding, the brand is who you are at your core. My question to you today is, are you good at what you do? Are you great at marketing it? Have you branded yourself? Have you set yourself apart in a certain kind of way to make yourself stand out from everybody else? If you have more questions than you do answers now, that's okay. Take a sheet of paper, start answering them. If you ever like some help, you can look at me on the social media profiles. You can find my website. I have it listed. And I'm really want you to get the difference between branding and marketing. It's important. Because, see, you can't really start marketing until you have your brand down. Too many people trying to brand themselves as something that they really don't want. You think you want it because you think there's customers and money there, but that's not really why you want it. You just want the money. But if it doesn't fit your core values, then you don't really want it. My name is Chris Collier, social media icon. Let's talk again. Have a great day. Everybody, thank you so much for listening and watching, depending on what platform you're on. If you're on social media, please like.